We're live. Listen, not much to say, like other than I remember where I was whenever there was a Hail Mary completed anywhere on the planet. Like I remember Rodgers against the Cardinals. I was at a bowling alley. This one, I'll never forget. I jumped over the couch, landed on Nate, landed on Nolan. I did have Commanders money line. So, well, I don't want Eagles fans to think I'm cheating on them. I am. It's all business in that situation. But the Birds got the win earlier in the afternoon. Listen, in a game that was kind of going to be defined as a referendum on, the Commanders are here and the Bears are there, and a lot of it is because of the quarterback. And like we were going to write that script up for the Monday show, and in the fourth quarter, I thought Caleb had some great moments. Which obviously are going to be marred by the Hail Mary execution, as well as the handing the ball to a guy whose job it is to not ever touch the ball on the goal line. I mean, I remember earlier this season, they blocked a little they used a little guy to block a huge guy. I think it was against Indy. And then they ran the speed option, and I thought, like, maybe that's rock bottom down in the low red. It would be reasonable to assume it couldn't get any worse. But in a game like that, where it felt like the atmosphere was huge, and, listen, you're fine. You lose that game, you're fine. You are what your record is. But boy, did they look a lot more human playing that defense, which I would classify as scrappy at best. I mean, they deserve a lot of credit after how they played tonight. Guys like Luvu. I really like Armstrong, guys like that, but not a world beater type defense. They made some really scrappy plays out on the edge. They rallied to the football. They brought a lot of pressure early. Caleb was running for his life, extending plays, but not cashing in. And late in that game, in the fourth quarter, he made some incredible plays. I mean, some really nice plays. And as far as him buying time, some of the way he bails out of the back of the pocket, I'm not comparing him to Russell Wilson. That would be lazy. But I do think in one respect, he's got some Russell in him, in that, we used to rush Russell twice a year, and Russell, I joke, made me a lot of money. If you know how to rush Russell, you can corral him. And one thing that Caleb does really well is that bail out of the back, that back shoulder roll that makes it so challenging for people to be at the right depth as rushers. And he hurt him a couple times with that deal tonight, or just stayed alive with that deal. But ultimately, Jaden Daniels was going to be the story. And so in that respect, I'm glad they ended up winning, because he outplayed Caleb throughout the game. I didn't want you to come away from this game and say, hey, simple-minded fans might come away and say, hey, we got the right guy. This proves that this is a referendum. And it's not. I mean, it's so early in these guys' careers, but at this point, not only is Jaden Daniels more pro-ready, and that showed up today, but his offense is more highly functioning, and I think the story for me was going to be how many times he got them out of trouble with his legs. I mean, just unbelievable. A week removed from having the rib, playing with the rib, which is painful. And he skipped a couple of balls, but for the most part, he was on target. The deep ball, I've never seen anybody, we're not even at the Hail Mary yet, but like I've never seen anybody this young in the game load up from a clean pocket and launch the ball out of picture and felt more confident in where the ball is going to end up, which is right in Terry McLaurin's hands. I mean, the guy is so trustworthy, dipping that shoulder and throwing the ball 40 yards down the field. Like, as a viewer of the game, that ball is going to be on target, and it is. And then the Hail Mary, I mean, he's just loading up and launching, buying time. It's a 13-second play. And I will echo my brother's sentiments. I know it's easy to get us confused, but Kyle Long played for the Bears. He was offensive guard. He tweeted tonight, I don't want to hear anything about a hold on a Hail Mary. And boy, do I not. If you comment there was a hold on the Hail Mary, you are like the king of not being fun at parties, like the emperor of not being fun at parties. And I understand you're a Bears fan, but they're not calling that. Okay, I had to deal with it the other night, just trying to break down the Thursday night game, which, you know, through and through the Rams dominated. That Hail Mary was a bit of a ball don't lie situation. Now, Bears fans could say, hey, we drove the ball right down the field and had an opportunity to punch it in and handed it to an offensive lineman. We fucked up the Hail Mary, all that stuff. I just felt like Washington was in control of this game for so long. If there was anything they were guilty of, in my opinion, is just kind of getting a little bit complacent towards the end of that game. And the Hail Mary, all you got to do is give the guy a chance. I've been in so many defensive meeting rooms where the ball gets batted, you know, into the air. And the DC, after a win, is saying, hey, no big deal, but, you know, we got to knock this ball down. And we see it all the time, guys going up trying to get a pick, that sort of thing. And I don't think that was that sort of situation where guys didn't understand the gravity or, you know, they didn't know the right thing to do. I just don't think the guy was tall enough. And I think it was a perfectly, I don't know, I'm not trying to give the credit to Jaden and Cliff Kingsbury, but the execution of the Hail Mary was perfect. To have Noah Brown trailing behind and to throw that ball with some loft, right? So you get those soft bounces. I mean, those soft bounces are the scariest thing in the world. I remember watching one in the Super Bowl with Gronk staring at the ball and it almost comes down in his hand. Those soft bounces, they feel like they're in the air forever. And I love Hail Marys because, not just because I had the Commanders money line, but I love Hail Marys because it is the reason you don't stop playing. It's the reason I'm pissed at Austin Eckler for running the ball or the Commanders for not letting that ball roll into the end zone because you lost 4 seconds. It's the reason when the team I'm rooting for who's down and needs a score and I see 2 seconds go off of the clock, I'm screaming at the clock operator from my couch because every second counts. You know, you never say die in the NFL. And you never say die in football, and that to me that's evidence of why you never say die. You know, I mean that to me is, I love chaos. Admittedly, that was chaos, total chaos. And I know Eagles fans are going to ask me, and I will talk more in depth about the actual football game, who I thought played well. You know, the way that the Commanders jumped out to a lead tomorrow on the live show at 2. But my instant reaction is I love Hail Marys. I just love them. Is everybody else like me?
I am all into the Hail Marys. That Denver game last year against the Commanders where we were down by 1 on the Hail Mary.
Yeah,
down by 2, and then we got the 2 point.
Yeah.
Like we lost, but it was still sick.
It was still cool as hell to have the Hail Mary.
Yes.
I love a Hail Mary, man. And teams are getting worse and worse at defending them. Yeah. They really are. There's a lot of that shit happening. Eagles, Birds. Listen, I'm going to act like we've been here before, even though they never have. Let me button this up. I'm like showing a little cleave here. A little cleave on a Sunday night. No, the Eagles, they haven't been here. They've never beaten the Bengals in thank you, Cowboy Reed. They've never beaten the Bengals in Cincinnati. That's news to me. Not like a streak that I was keeping track of. But more importantly, this just didn't feel like a game that the Eagles go in and win. Like, I'm sure to Eagles fans, you're hearing me say this and you're like, yep, I wasn't that confident today. Or maybe you were the minute T. Higgins went down and you got your 2 studs outside and they only have 1. Maybe you saw something I didn't. Maybe you saw the fact that the Eagles have sneaky committed to the run the past 2 weeks. You know, maybe you've noticed the defense has started to play well. Maybe you notice the coverage is a little bit more competitive. It wasn't early in that game, but I'll start here. I did not think, and there's a lot of good things to talk about in that Eagles victory. I didn't think back when Atlanta moved the ball the distance with under a minute to go, like it was nothing, that we'd ever be talking about the Eagles defense making huge plays to help the team win in key games. This was a huge game on the road. And I think it came down to a couple things. The Eagles coming out fast relative to their expectation. They didn't score in the first half, or the first quarter, rather, but they damn near did. They kicked the field goal early in the second. That's a start. It's a start. You know why it's a start is because that first drive was a thing of beauty in my eyes. I know they got bogged down with a penalty and that sort of thing. But, you know, when Cincy comes out and takes the whole damn quarter to go get 6, you had to be surgical. You could not kick backed up and risk going down, 14-0. They go get the 3. Slay ends up a couple possessions later, playing through Burton's hands in the end zone. It's like the first third down they've actually gotten off the field on, and they find a way to survive. They're down 10-3. It could have been a lot worse. But to me, it was the evening up at the half and then coming out in the second half and just kicking ass. You had 2 drives that were completely different. The first one was methodical, a little bit more. The second one was 2 big chunk plays, both play action type plays, AJ, and then, not just the play action, but the way that the rushers were dispersed because of the type of play action you ran to really load up and throw that ball, 60 yards in the air to Devontae Smith. I think they went at battle. So apologize if I'm off on some of this stuff. I just got my notes down, but like this was the type of game where I was so impressed with them because they came out in the second half and they seized an opportunity. You talk about like Nick Sirianni having his team ready to play. Whatever he said to them at the half, good on him. Good on him coming out. He had a good challenge he threw. He was the guy that knew that C.J. Gardner-Johnson picked the ball off. He had to run over to – who was it that tipped the ball? It was it was Rodgers. Rodgers tipped the ball to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think Sirianni, with his red flag hanging out of his pocket, ran the length of the sideline to tell Rodgers, hey, you picked the ball off, or you caused the pick, man. He thought it was like incomplete. Nick was Johnny on the spot in a couple moments today, and I think like whether he just stayed out of the script a little bit more this week or he listened to – I'm not saying he listened to us, but we made a big stink this week about, how the first 15 or the scripted portion of the game looked a lot like his old script pre-Shane Steichen taking over in 2021 or whatever it was. Okay. It looked a lot better today. That first drive was a lot of run. It was quarterback run. It was the whole thing. Long story short, I think that the offense coming out at the beginning of the game and the second half, coming out and getting those scores and defining the game. Now, hey, Cincy, you're going to feel the pressure. You're at home. You're going to feel the pressure. You're going to have to chase us. I thought the defense making some big plays. I already talked about Rodgers, young player, tipping it to a veteran, right, getting off the field. One of the biggest sequences of the whole game was 3rd and 1. And it's Nakobe Dean knifing in there. It's Brandon Graham and I think Milton Williams playing the hell out of their blocks, building a wall, Dean knifing in there. And then Cooper DeJean, who everything seems to have changed since they inserted him into the lineup, making an incredible play. I always say the play starts when the motion starts. And when you got Jamar Chase one-on-one in a 4th down situation in a game where if you get a stop, it flips the thing completely. You have an opportunity to make a great play. And that motion was like sort of an orbit deal with a stop and go. And DeJean, it was like he's covering a pivot route before the play even starts. And then he's knifing to the flat and a very sure tackle. This kid's going to be very good for the Eagles. Considering where he was in training camp and, going to training camp, hearing what they were saying about him, hearing what they were saying outwardly about him, Vic Fangio at the start of the season, he's not where we need him to be. He's as good as he could be, but he's not where we need him to be. I'm paraphrasing, but because of the injuries and that sort of thing, to have him now, you see what the complete picture was going to look like a little bit more. And yeah, they're being a little bit more aggressive and that sort of thing. And, at times they got into a little bit of trouble on like second downs, sending Nakobe Dean, getting a little blitz happy at times, but I like them being a little bit more aggressive. So, Joe Burrow's going to pick you apart some. Mike Gesicki was incredible. That's a guy for them. And they might be cooked. Nate's not here anymore. I let him leave before I said this. The Bengals might be cooked. But he doesn't get to really enjoy his victory lap because the Eagles won. Eagles cooked him. So Do I think the Bengals are dead? No, but they're getting close. They're getting close. They're on life support. And they got 4 AFC games coming up. I did not like Taylor's decision to go for the thing. I think that went to show you how they were feeling about the groove that the Eagles were getting into to start the second half. And I did not like him going for that thing because you kind of had a feeling the way the Eagles were playing, if you didn't get it, you were going to go down 2 scores. And I just thought the Eagles defense stepped up, really stepped up. How about Nolan Smith? Really good rush. I've talked about the edges he's been setting all year. The Georgia guys are coming along a little bit. N'Kobe's played pretty good in some spots. And I think for Howie Roseman to get Quignon, to get DeJean in the same draft, seeing the way these guys are coming along, like Nolan Smith coming along, taking some pressure off you in that, from that standpoint, you're not thinking about Huff as much because you got a guy over there who can give you quality snaps. I think Fred Johnson playing pretty well was a big deal, right? Guy who spent some time in Cincinnati. I didn't even realize probably cross paths with Trey in practice before. Good to know what you're dealing with. If that's the case, he probably was over there. But I think it's article like 10,000 when it comes to Stout being one of the best offensive line coaches in the game. Getting Fred Johnson, well, he's the best. Getting Fred Johnson ready to go, right? Steen, who I thought the penalties on him were a little bit ticky-tack. I thought if you're playing to the whistle, he's cleaning a pile. The whistle comes as he cleans the pile, like simultaneously. So there's one. The hold was a little bit ticky-tack, but I understand. We're not going to sit here and complain about calls at all because I think the Eagles didn't need them to win. They did not need them to win. So just a really great game. And Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to get through the breakdown without giving them their props. I thought Jalen was great, man. He looked a lot quicker. He's looking like a little springier to me. When he took off on that read option and hit the corner on Murphy, he looked quick. I mean, I don't know if he's getting healthy or something. I don't know if they're just figuring it out, but the last 3 weeks, okay, and I'm sorry if I'm not attributing this set of statistics properly. I saw this on Twitter, okay? Since the bye, 42 of 59, 614 yards, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Is that a fucking typo? That's really good, And it's like I said about the Cleveland game. If you don't get that kick blocked at the end of the half, run back for a touchdown, you probably win 20-6 or something like that. Nobody's talking about it. It's not a big deal. I think that Giants win, people undervalued it because it was the Giants. So whatever we think about the Giants, it's a division game. That's how you're supposed to handle business. And then to go on the road like this and win. I got to tell you, I did not expect it to look like this. So this was a very good day for the Eagles. Great day for Nick Sirianni. 3-0 since he got that haircut. Okay. It's not a trend that I was all over. So I don't know what else people want to talk about tomorrow, but
Marcus MC wanted to know if the Lions are the best team in the NFL.
Without watching a single snap of that massacre yet today, I need to get into the all-22. It is hard to argue with that. It certainly is. I mean, the Chiefs are inevitable. So if we're saying, if the Chiefs and the Lions play in the Super Bowl, I can't tell you who I'd pick. Okay. The Ravens today looked the way they looked against the Browns, and some people would say they're the best team in the NFL. Like, week to week, it depends. I don't like getting into that thing this early, but I think Detroit has a chance to be the best team in the NFL. They are a contender. They're uppercase C contender. Chiefs, Ravens, I think with the addition of Amari Cooper, the Bills could be that, right? I don't want to leave anybody out. Nolan said maybe the commies, and the Eagles could be in that category as well, I suppose, if some things break right. It's the fun thing about this year is it's kind of wide open, in my opinion. It really is. Let's see.
Hannah said, she gave us a super chat. She also said Jalen is not overthinking post bye.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, like I do. It's one way to think about it. Maybe that come to Jesus talk with Nick. Sometimes when things get bad in life, in business, in your personal relationships, you have to hit rock bottom a little bit to communicate what's on your mind. Some people, I think great teams communicated all week long. They communicated all year. Teams that have been together for a while, like it's a constant state of like, what are we not doing well? Let's fix it. But I think sometimes like shit has to really hit the fan for you to say whatever it is that you're feeling about the person at work or your coach or your teammate. And it shouldn't be that way, but maybe over that bye week, some valuable conversations were had about preferences. Because a lot of times in the NFL, coaches and players aren't on the same page as far as like what do I prefer running? What do I like to be in? What do I like to stay out of? And what is the thing that's annoying the fuck out of me about you, Jalen? You know what I mean? Like, and vice versa. Coach, what's like, let's just have a real conversation. Maybe that conversation was had. And maybe it was more valuable than we thought it was, because he does look a lot better, in my opinion. Last week, and he's not throwing the ball 30 times a game. Go figure. Don't come out and try to be sexy. You know what's sexy? The long game is sexy. Let's look sexy in the fourth quarter. I thought they had that mindset today. Came out the first drive. They were the more physical team. And the Saquon Barkley thing, eventually it's going to look like the run that he broke behind, Landon Dickerson in the second half. And eventually it's going to look like the run that he broke where I think he dropped Battle in the flat and he runs through a guy and he tips toes down the sideline to put it on the one to ice the thing. Eventually the dam's going to break. It is the commitment to Saquon Barkley that's just as scary as him breaking a big run. It's the oh, they're committed. Oh, fuck, they're running the football. And, 20-something carries for 91 yards at some point is going to turn into 130 in the fourth quarter. And so it doesn't always have to be 150, 175 yards. Run the damn ball, right? David, thank you.
Caesar asked earlier if the Commanders fans are the happiest fans in the NFL right now.
They got to be. They really got to be. The Browns fans tonight probably got to be pretty happy too, though. In all seriousness, to give Ken Dorsey the play call and bench Deshaun in 1 week and to come out here like this and Cleveland to look like they looked in the passing game, for all the people that were trying to justify making the Deshaun thing work, and I mean from a football standpoint, because when I said he was cooked week 1, I had people arguing with me for a couple of weeks. For all those people justifying that, you just saw Jameis come in basically cold. I mean, he came in last week and ran the offense and a different offense too at that. I was pretty impressed. And Cleveland, the hole's too big. I don't know if they're like going to make a run or something, but they're going to be tough to deal with if they get decent quarterback play out of the guy. I like the head coach. Nick Chubb's back. You give that defense a reason to compete. There's always a reason to compete, but after a while, you just get so down in the dumps about having to defend sudden change, 14-point performances, the whole thing. Kudos to them for not quitting. Kudos to them for coming out today and doing what Jameis said, which was believe. Like you could tell that group believed. And also, we said it before the game, Cleveland plays Baltimore tough in that, like, they're not blowouts. And when you looked at that line, it was 9.5 down to like 7.5 by kick, juiced up a little. I was like, man, let's just take a shot at it. So we had a nice little day at the office. Cleveland. It's a lot easier to bet on Cleveland when Deshaun's not the quarterback on a couple levels.
Gave us $10. They said Malik for the Packers again.
Yeah, Malik was great. Hey, listen, I can't wait to break that game down and talk about it. I mean, I was looking at it because I did have the over, not to pepper y'all with gambling. It was just a good day at the office. But had the over and was kind of peeking at that game. I just think the Packers, man, they're finding different ways to win. Jordan Love being, gimpy for a lot of that game and then exiting and, like against a team like Jacksonville, who at some point they were going to start picking up some chunk yardage on you to finish the game in that fashion. And Jaden Reed, who's become, again, one of the best players in the league at his position, is the guy you go to with the game on the line and ends up putting you in position to win that thing. So can't wait to talk about that game tomorrow
Sunday night
on live. Sunday night, this line is ballooned to 6. I think. What do we got? What's it at? What's it at, fellas? Has the game started?
It is about to kick off.
Oh, it's about to kick off. Couldn't get it in. You know what? I did put San Francisco in a teaser with Pittsburgh. I think San Francisco, listen, I know San Francisco doesn't look real good, but I don't know if we really know how bad Dallas is. I don't know if we know yet how bad Dallas is. And I don't know. I feel like the middle of that defense is it could be an ass-kicking night up front. We'll see. I got San Francisco as well. Tales of a weed smoker. Oh, that makes sense. We're on the same wavelength, huh? Thanks for stopping for the the Pats, man, with a huge win. Kyle Hamilton owes you money, Kai. Yeah, dude, that's rough. I hate that, man. I really do. And I didn't need it because I think I was covering. We could have both won. That sucks. Nate Wiggins owes me money from not catching that interception against Buffalo. That was the over right there. So currently building a shrine for Saquon Barkley in my living room. Love that, Dr. Restitution. Hopefully that won't be as controversial as when I built a shrine. It was obviously a lighthearted shrine. I don't know who the fuck people think I am. Like I'm out here building serious shrines for people. Anything else you guys want to know? Anything else? All right, let's see.
Hannah did ask about Anthony Richardson leaving for the play in the fourth quarter. How does it affect the locker room?
So what without having seen that in real time, because we can only put 4 games on, 5 games on in time. I'm not doing the 8 at a time anymore. Like you barely see anything. What I was told is Anthony Richardson left the game due to fatigue.
He said he was like, that's too much running. I've got to go. Like I told Shane, I've got to leave for the play. What
did he have to run in to take a piss or something? Like what? No, seriously. How much running can you do that's out of the ordinary? What did he do?
I wasn't sure the exact play, but I'm sure we'll find it tomorrow and see if it was like him 3 runs.
I think that's something you keep to yourself.
He was tired.
Boy, I appreciate his honesty, but not in this situation. You keep that one to yourself. That's between you and Shane. I don't know. Not a great look. I like the kid. Not a great look. Listen, guys, gals, tomorrow at 2:00 live, Eagles back on track. Rookie Bowl did not disappoint. Chiefs won the Kermit revenge game. Barely saw that one. Got to watch that one. All right, we got a ponies picks. Okay, you got that. That was at 8:19. Yeah. No more super chats. Live at 2 p.m. We appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Thank you, David. Thank you. I enjoyed my time as a Patriot. Chris, the Rams and Eagles won today. My man, I have trouble with calendars too. The Rams won Thursday. You and I got a lot in common. I love y'all. See you at 2:00.